No matter how good you are at communication, you will still lose power if you make this one mistake. To explain this, I am going to tell you 3 stories. Listen carefully. By the end, you tell me what is that one common mistake all 3 stories are trying to teach us. Also, I'm going to show you how con artists use communication to manipulate us. Don't ever copy this manipulation tactic. I am telling you this trick so you will know if someone ever tries to manipulate you. Okay? Chalo. So let's begin. Story number 1. More than 2000 years ago in the Roman Empire, there were no guns. People fought wars using swords and shields. And the Roman army was one of the most feared armies in the world. You know why? Because if you disobeyed their order, their punishments were super cruel. One day, the Romans were trying to capture a city. But there was one problem. To enter the city, they had to first break the main gate using a machine called a battering ram. This is what a battering ram looked like. So the commander called the engineer and gave a very simple order. Build me the biggest battering ram you can. The engineer started to work on it immediately. He was very smart. While building the battering ram, he thought, what if I make it too big? The soldiers will find it very difficult to carry it. Why not make it little smaller? It will be lighter. Soldiers won't get tired. They can also move it faster. And he was right actually. So instead of following the command blindly, he built a smaller machine, a smaller battering ram. The commander looked at the machine and asked the engineer, Engineer, why is it so small? The engineer smiled. He took a piece of paper and began drawing and explained why a smaller battering machine was better. Soon everyone could see why the engineer was right. Now you tell me, if you were the commander, what would you do? Would you reward the engineer to come up with a better idea? Most of us would think yes, because the engineer was right. But that's not what happened. You won't believe the commander ordered the soldiers to remove the engineer's clothes. They tied him up and then beat him until he died. That is story number 1. Story number 2. Let's go to Italy around 520 years ago. There lived a young sculptor named Michelangelo. One day he got a huge block of marble. His job was very simple, to carve a statue called David. For months he worked on it every single day and finally the statue was ready. But before it could be displayed to the public, it had to be first inspected. So the mayor came to inspect it. He walked around the statue and looked at it from different sides. And while he was standing too close to the statue, he said, Michelangelo, the nose is looking too big, change it. Michelangelo knew the nose was perfect. It looked bigger. Why? Because the mayor was standing too close. Now, let me ask you something. You have spent months in creating something. Someone just looks at it for a minute and says there is a mistake. What would you do? You would defend your work. You would try to prove them wrong, right? Most of us would. But Michelangelo did not. He picked up his tools, he walked to the statue and pretended as if he was fixing the nose. And after a few minutes, he stepped back and asked the mayor, how does it look now? The mayor smiled and said, now it looks perfect. And the funny part is, Michelangelo did not make a single change in the statue. Today, David is one of the most famous sculptures in the world. Now, let me ask you a question. What did Michelangelo understand that the engineer in the first story did not? The engineer had a better idea. He was right. But the moment he tried to prove the commander wrong, the commander stopped seeing the idea. All he saw was someone trying to prove him wrong. Let's look at Michelangelo. He was also right. He knew the nose was perfect. But instead of proving the mayor wrong, he let the mayor feel he was right. And because of that, he got exactly what he wanted. So, what's the communication lesson here? Never try to win by arguing even if you are right. If it doesn't harm you, if it doesn't hurt you, let the other person feel they are right. You will usually get a much better result. So the next time you are about to say, let me prove you wrong, ask yourself these 2 questions. Am I trying to win this argument or am I trying to win this person? Because these 2 things are very different. Story number 3. Let's go back to the US. Around 100 years ago, there lived a very famous con artist named Victor Lustig. Victor Lustig convinced a police officer to buy a money printing machine. The police officer paid $10,000 for this money printing machine. Later he found out he had been cheated. The money printing machine was not working. He got very angry and went straight to Victor Lustig's hotel room and pointed a gun at him. Now you tell me, if someone pointed a gun at you, every one of us would panic, right? Victor Lustig did not panic. He stayed calm. Now let's look at his strategy. First, he acted confused and confidently said, "No, you are using the machine in a wrong way." Then he began arguing using technical words that was super confusing. The police officer could not understand anything. Then they kept arguing and arguing for a long time, and finally the police officer put his gun down. Victor Lustig smiled and said, "Don't worry, you take this $10,000 back." Police officer was very happy. He took this money and left. But when he tried to use that money, he found out every single note was fake. By then, Victor Lustig was gone and he was arrested for using fake currency. From this story, what's the communication lesson? If you are trying to distract someone, arguing can actually work. That's exactly what Victor Lustig did. When he began arguing, the police officer forgot about the fake machine. Instead, he was busy arguing with Victor. That's exactly when he got distracted, put his gun down, and Victor got another chance. If there is one thing I want you to learn from this video, it would be this. For honest people, don't argue. Arguments can make things worse. But if you are trying to distract someone or trying to cover up a lie, arguing can actually work. That's all from my side. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.